Hello, and welcome to my next video in Understanding the Planets series. Thank you for all of the bookings and readings that have been coming through. It really means a lot. Thank you for placing value in my work. It's really cool to see all of these people all around the world reaching out, and I really love and really enjoy conducting these readings on this level. So thank you. If you would like to book me for a natal chart report where I go in and explain your chart to you and unpack your chart and look at any questions you may have, please just go to my website. The link is below, and I can do a 45-minute natal chart report or a 25-minute report for you. And so I've got a lot to get through. I'm very busy with readings, but I am always honoring my commitment. I did say I would be producing one video a week, and this video is today my ruling planet, one of the bigger, better ones. If you know anything about astrology, then you'll know a bit about Jupiter. What is Jupiter and how does it work within your chart? So if you're new to my channel, please come on by. If you're an advanced astrologer or if you're an advanced occultist or spiritualist, welcome as well. It's always good to listen to other people's interpretations and other people's knowledge and what they have to say, and what I'm sharing what I've learned about these planets. So in astrology, all of the planets, they all are aspects of us. The solar system, we move through all of the planets, all of the astrological changes, just like the lunar force affects the lunar pull of the sea, the way the tidal pull. Everything is connected to the planets. We are aspects of the divine, and we are playing out in real time through free will and through determinism, which is a preset thing. But we have free will, so that's why we exist. So we can choose and make choices, and of course consequences follow choices, don't they? So when I think of Jupiter, first of all, Jupiter is what we consider something called a greater benefic planet. So when we think of the word benefic, what we're really thinking of is beneficial. So there are benefic planets like Venus and Jupiter, and then there are malefic planets, which are like Saturn. And so benefic means, tongue-tied, fortune. It means good relationships. It means beneficial, okay? So that's what Jupiter is in spades. So I have a lot of Jupiter personally within my chart. I have a stellium in Sagittarius. So I am a Sagittarius cusp Scorpio in my sun, but I have 3 ruling aspects within my chart that are all bound to Jupiter, or they're bound to the Sagittarian, the centaur, okay? So that means that this signifies a very strong pursuit of knowledge. It signifies someone that would ultimately end up going down the path that I have followed. And so it is off the beaten track. It is about finding the purpose of existence. And nothing excites me more, and to a Gemini as well, and to the Pisces, then going deeper into higher learning and spirituality. Okay, so there is nothing in the physical world that is of interest to someone that has a lot of Jupiterian placements in their chart. They will be very connected to religions and higher levels of consciousness, and they will be always looking to expand. So if you could think of one key word to take away from this podcast today, Jupiter is about expansion, and expansion in all ways, in all things, at all times. So this has a very positive influence over everything that it touches within a natal chart, but it also has a darker aspect to it, which I face in my life. And I'll share a little bit here about that as well, very humbly. But that's what Jupiter's significance is within astrology. So it is about personal growth. It is about exploring and being curious. It's about a deeper understanding and seeking of new horizons. That's what Jupiter is all about. It is the biggest planet out there. And yeah, I mean, it's like, it's so powerful. Its presence, it's said that one day Jupiter will become a star. So when the end of the universe or our solar system begins to collapse and die, which all things have their time and space, even the universe even the solar system that we're in, everything has its time. It's said that Jupiter will eventually become like the red star. All right. So, but for now in your chart, Jupiter for most people is always associated with luck and fortune, positive outcomes, positive opportunities. It is a sense of optimism and abundance. So when someone has a lot of Jupiter placements within their chart, depending on, of course, the degree of where it's sitting and what planet or house or what sign it's sitting in, what we will do is also look at where the houses are placed for that as well. So when we look at the sign and then we look at where the house is sitting, we're going to see where Jupiter is going to expand that aspect of that sign in that house, in you, in your psychology. Okay, so if that didn't make sense, I'll just explain that in astrology, we have signs and then we have houses. And so the houses are aspects of where the sign will play out in relation to what planet and what that planet means in your chart. Okay, so I know that sounds complicated, but real deep astrology is very complicated. Okay, it is. It's like maths, all the angles and all the degrees. It's like a lot of mathematicians actually have had an interest in astronomy or in astrology as well. So that means, cutting it really simply, with Jupiter, it is about growing and moving. It is about having a sense of purpose and pursuing something in a philosophical sense. So that is why it's so associated with Chiron, and it's so associated with the mythological creature of the centaur who shoots his arrow high. He shoots he's moving into the future. He's moving into his higher expansion. So once, I have mentioned this before, and I do have videos on Sagittarius, more personalized videos, where we look at Sagittarius, the angel, the beast, the man. In this chat, what I'm trying to explain is when you meet someone that has a lot of Jupiter in their chart, or if they are a Sagittarius, it's very up and down at times. Not as much as a Pisces will be. Pisces in itself used to actually be ruled by the planet Jupiter. So it's like two fish tied together, swimming in opposite directions, both wanting different outcomes from life. All right. But Sagittarius is a man and a beast, the horse, infused together. And this being seeks nobility and seeks a broader understanding of the universe. So it doesn't want to be contained. It's got that bestial side. Sagittarians hate being limited. So it's like needing space, needing freedom, but needing to know the bigger aspects of why we're actually really here. So religion and spirituality, and sometimes even the darker aspect of that, which can be more of a dogmatic approach to life, is what Jupiter is really expressing through us. So it's about growth. So anything that wants to grow and get bigger, it can't be contained. It can't be stifled. It can't be buried. It can't have negative influences around it that tell it that you can't have that, you can't go there, you can't do that. Because Sagittarius and Jupiter energy, no matter where it's playing out in your chart, wants to rebel against what is restricting it. So we might have in Saturn, which deals in restriction and holding things down and oppressing them. Jupiter is the opposite of that. It is the benefic planet that brings abundance and brings growth. So growth in the spiritual sense comes from, well, evolution. It comes from you having to outgrow outdated versions of you that were there as well. So as you grow, you expand. And as you expand, things around you and the way you see the world also change as well. So a lot of the Jupiterian people that you'll meet, whenever you look in their chart, a lot of them, particularly myself, just sharing this very honestly, is I meet someone, and if I can't see the prospect of their own growth to a level that is where I feel I'm received, or if I don't see that they're even committed to a path of exploration or growth or expansion within themselves, that to me will never work in any friendship or any level of relationship, because anyone with a Jupiter placement will always choose expansion and adventure and growth over complacency and stability. Okay, because we know, and I know this now as I've gotten older, particularly in this world, there's no such thing as safety. There is no such thing as stability. The average person these days goes through, I think, 6 different career paths now. So at any moment, everything could be flipped upside down. World War III could start tomorrow. There's no safety in the world. The only safety that we create is the safety that we create within ourselves, within our body, within our mind. Okay, so Jupiter lives in the realm of the mind, and it is on more of a positive focus. So when I say positive, we've got to be careful with words like that, because when someone says, that's negative or that's positive, we have to understand what is considered negative or positive is only in relation to what is in that person's or angle's best interests. So what is positive to one team that's winning on their, that's battling it out in the basketball game against the other team is negative to the favor of the other team that's going to win. Do you understand? So a lot of people don't understand positive or negative doesn't really exist. It only depends on the point of view that it's being expressed from. Lawyers understand this because they argue. It's their job to argue with people, but they understand that it's always subject to the angle of what it's expressing itself through. All right. So what is chaos to the fly stuck in the spider's web is completely normal to the spider. All right. So when I say positive in terms of Jupiter, it means that things that weren't really accessible to you, or things that were stopping you, or like a red light, you sitting at a red light, it suddenly went green. It gave you the all clear. It gave you a yes. So this is kind of like a yes planet. It grants you expansion. It grants you the opportunity to move. It grants prosperity, wealth, and financial gain. A lot of material possession can come from Jupiter because Jupiter rules money, Jupiter rules fortune and luck. So as a Sagittarian, you will find, as we go through different rebirths, the first Jupiter rebirth that you will face, that I faced in my life, was around the age of 11. So that is that you actually have a Jupiter return. Then you have one at 24, and then you have one at 48. So there are slight Jupiter returns. They're not as severe as a Saturn return, but yes, when you look back at your life around that time of 11 years of age, you would have noticed something would have been granted to you in a positive form. I had the opportunity at 11 to 12, when I turned 11, 12 years old, to leave my family and go on board with the house and learn. I was a swimmer, so I had an opportunity to go and be a better swimmer. And I had to leave my home behind, which would be expansion. I'm leaving an old version of my life behind for the opportunity to go and travel and go and live in another person's house and board with them, go to a new school and go and have an opportunity to be with a better coach. So that was one of my first Jupiter returns. Because I have a lot of Sagittarius in my chart, and if this is you, you'll find that the expansions will be amplified. Same, for example, if you had, your Saturn is in Capricorn, and then you had your first Saturn return at the age of 28, your Saturn return will be amplified. So that's how it works. Energy in the chart and energy in nature always goes where the highest, strongest point is. So when people say stuff like love wins, no, love doesn't always win. The biggest energy wins. That's how nature works as well. And because Jupiter is such a big force in astrology, this is a planet that really is considered kind of like a great teacher. It's considered something that people really are influenced by. It's like the grandfather of the gods. Think of like Greece. In Greece, they saw Jupiter as Zeus, and Italy saw Zeus as the king of the gods. So think of like that level of power: lightning, thunder, storms, strong influence over nature. So there is a destructive level of energy that is with Jupiter, where sometimes things get destroyed, sometimes you outgrow people, and sometimes that can be very painful. People feel like you're leaving them. But if you're listening and you are a Sagittarius, it's not necessarily that you left them, it's just that you evolved beyond them. All right, so that's one of the things that I want to make really clear around this planet is when you have a person that has a pursuit of a passion or a goal and they want to grow, then they aren't necessarily going to stay in the same place very often. They are going to have a foreign experience. And Jupiter rules travel. It rules someone that would have a midlife crisis, sell all their stuff, move to the other side of the world, go and sit on a beach and have an intellectual heart-to-heart conversation with a homeless person in a shopping trolley, and then go to an exquisite dinner, and then go stay in a backpacker's inn. This is an explorative energy. And so that's why you'll meet a lot of Sagittarian people that have lived a lot of different lives. They've been the cab driver, they've been the doctor, they've been the best friend, they've been the spiritual person. There's so many aspects that are connected to Jupiter that you'll also find that are very similar in Gemini as well. So Gemini and Sagittarius are both polar aspects on the chart, but there is a lot of bleed over that comes from the 9th house into the 3rd house, which is ruled by Gemini. Because in order to grow, you have to have a curiosity to do that. You have to have an interest and a passion. So when we look at Jupiter, think of Jupiter in the sense that it is the telescope that looks out into the universe. When we think of Gemini, think of the interpretation of what one sees through the telescope and the intellectual unpacking of that. So I hope that made sense. So Mercury is the logic and it's how you process the data. And Jupiter is the expansion on a philosophical level, and it's the tool, like the bow and arrow, that is used to project itself into a different paradigm of knowledge. Okay, so there is a darker side to Jupiter and to people that have a lot of Jupiter placements. Sometimes people can overly expand to a point where when I think of Jupiter in the sense of a negative sense, if you ever have seen or read the book Into the Wild, that book was a perfect example of a Sagittarian person, or a person with a very, very high degree of Jupiter. It's someone that is willing to reject the matrix of life and wants to go and have a spiritual experience where they reject the material world, go out into nature, and get very primal and have an aspect to them where being, say for example, like being a survivalist, and that's something that I'm actually practicing in my own life, where I could get dropped out in the bush, I have to make a shelter, I have to go and find sticks and make like a fire, I have to learn how to hunt, I have to collect berries. All of this stuff will push me way beyond my normal human contained comprehension of living in a modern world where I buy food at the supermarket. So that type of Jupiter energy really is someone that will ultimately end up alone. Okay, and a lot of Sagittarian people, the price that they pay for the consciousness that they get to, and this could be even you if you've got a very strong presence with your Jupiter in Sag in your rising or in your moon sign, what can happen is the level of expansion that you start to go up to as you age from all the lessons and wisdom that you've acquired begins to make you go to a level that is so high in consciousness, other people can't relate to that. They're still not even comprehending. To me, like, and that is actually something that I find in my own life as well, is say people go to work and they come home and they, make money and they go to work, come home, but no one's actually really critically assessing why. So the Sagittarian and expansion of Jupiter is the word why. Why are you doing this? What's this all for? Why are you here? These type of things, this need to know the truth. This was also looked at in Battlestar Galactica. I think they even had the concept in that was called the Eye of Jupiter, which was this like an amulet that you would put in a very specific, code or frequency of light that would project the truth of something. So I'm not sure if you know that show, but there was a reference point to them, one seeking of wisdom of knowledge in between life and death and understanding the purpose of existence, which is very interesting, actually. I do remember watching that at one point. So there is a nomadic aspect to Jupiter. And so the centaurs are kind of renowned for just doing their own thing. And I'm like that as well. Like it's a little bit of rebellion and rejection of the norm and rejection of what society's restrictions are on things. All right. The darker aspects as well of Jupiter is someone that becomes very dogmatic, someone that may suffer from a little bit of like over talking and over exaggeration, someone who can lie by exaggeration. This is also a darker aspect of someone who may have a lot of Jupiter within their chart as well. So just be careful that, you've got to find your balance with things. Too much of anything will kill you. Eating the same thing too much will kill you. Life is a balancing act. If anyone knows that, Libra would know that. So to me, when I think about like the occult and astrology, everything in the human world came from the spiritual world, and everything that was built by humans was built by humans with an agenda. So that agenda will always be in the favor of what they're enforcing over others. It doesn't matter whether it's a legal system, whether it's a government system, whether it's a local council, everything will always be in the favor, generally, of he who has the gold makes the rules. And that's why you will find some Sagittarians that will be attracted to law and like justice because they understand that the law system is the thing that runs the humans. And if you can understand the law, then you can do what a lawyer would do. You can bend and manipulate law and systems in a favor and tilt things in your favor to gain the result that you want and the outcome that you want. All right. So Jupiter is very, very like, think of a huge, big person. Like a lot of giant energy is all in Jupiter. When you look at the physiological placements of this planet in a human, you will often see a lot of Sagittarian or Jupiterian people that are very big legs, big hips if they're female Sagittarians. They're thick, they're muscular. Sagittarius is a masculine sign. It is built to work, it's built to climb mountains, it's built to do stuff. Get out and hike, go on the holiday, go to exotic places. It's not, generally they're not little. So when you see someone who is physically bigger, like 6'2" without high heel shoes on, often you will see a lot of Jupiter in their chart. I think Tony Robbins has a lot of Jupiter in his chart, just his ability to speak and hold an audience. There's a boom in his voice. There's always a boom in anyone who has a lot of Jupiter in their energy. You can hear them laughing before you see them, that type of thing. Also, an aspect to this planet which is really good is when the chips are really down and you're really down and out, Jupiter doesn't stay down long. So with a lot of that like Sag energy, it can be someone that would be very down on their luck and they've gone through a very heavy duty period in their life where they may have lost their mum or their brother or father passed away, or they lost all their money, they've gone through a horrible divorce, and for a period of time you won't hear from them. They'll kind of go within, and then a couple of months, it's very quick. It's a very quick comeback. The Jupiter energy will bounce right back, and that person will be a multimillionaire. So Jupiter deals in extreme swings. And I've seen that in my own chart, in my own life. I've had times when I've been like living out of my car in my late teens, early 20s. And then I was in a mansion. And then I was back kind of living in a more modest lifestyle. And then I was super wealthy again. It's very up and down with Jupiter. So you'll often find a lot of Sages, it's feast or famine. Lots and lots of savings in their account. And then they'll lose it all. And then out of nowhere, they'll rebuild it really quick. So it's very extreme swings within energy, particularly around luck. The energy that comes through as I'm talking now is turquoise. Turquoise and the color red, the regal energy of red, is also connected to the fire and passion of Jupiter and what it brings us. So it's like a swirling storm of fire and energy on that planet. All right. So whenever you're looking at your chart, just make sure that you see where it's playing out. Because if it's, for example, like it'll amplify whatever it's sitting in. So as a benefic planet, it will amplify if it's in Aries. Well, then it's a person that is very physically strong and independent, self-confident, like a leader. And then they're going to have a lot of luck with their leadership. They'll have a lot of luck with the first house if it's sitting there with their physical features of how they look. If it's, for example, in the second house, if your Jupiter is playing out through Taurus, this is an over exuberance of passion that will come forward to attain materiality, to create stability. So it all depends on where it's sitting. If Jupiter is in Gemini, it's going to be someone who's very enthusiastic and over talkative, someone that over extends themselves into higher places of thinking on a really energetic level. So it's a lot of energy within Jupiter. People that have a lot of this in their chart will probably have to go swimming or running or go to the gym or lift weights or do something that really helps expel a lot of their like overactive energy within the body. All right. So it's also about faith as well. In the occult world, one of the things that I have learned is the lower the level of belief, the lower the level of success and result. So if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe that you deserve something, you will not get it. That's all connected to the placement of Jupiter. So yeah, some people have a really hard time when they don't have any of this in their chart at all. They can't get a break. They can't get any luck. They can't make the sale. Well, that's because, where Zurich's Jupiter isn't accelerated in their chart, like that type of thing. So think about everything that I've mentioned here. Generally, money for this, for this energy is not a problem. It comes through. This is the payoff. This is the time where an idea that you've really worked really hard to push out there all just paid off. The sales are coming through, the money's coming through. It can be a little bit self-indulgent as well. Sometimes Jupiter in different houses and placements means it's an over-exaggeration of something. So if Jupiter was in your Scorpio, or your Scorpio was sitting in Jupiter, you may have a tendency to be over-sexual. You might be a sex addict. It really depends on, where everything is playing out, which house, what number it's in, that type of thing. All right. So yeah, it's a powerful energy and it needs to be seen. It's a fiery energy like the sun. It needs an audience. A lot of Sagittarians make very good religious leaders, cult leaders. And we know that in politics in the USA, there's been more presidents with rising signs in Sagittarius ruled by Jupiter than any other person. Even Donald Trump, I think his rising is sitting in Sag as well under Jupiter. So it's all about expansion. Don't hold them back. Don't say, the more that you say no to this energy, the more that it's going to try harder, the more that it's going to push, the more it's going to tell you to fuck off. Okay? It doesn't want to be stagnated. That's why when you meet anyone with this placement, if you're not growing, if you're not moving, if you're not adapting, if you're not showing that you're expanding in some way in your life, the Jupiter energy will not, in another person that has that, will generally kind of pull away from you a little bit. They don't want to be around Debbie Downers, people that are always sick or tired or lethargic or don't have energy and they've got excuses. The energy of Jupiter is, you said tomorrow yesterday. So what are you waiting for? Life is happening and it's happening right now. It's moving. So you may as well just shut up and get on with it. And that's the Sagittarian spirit. And it just pushes through things. It's big and it's all about higher levels of consciousness. And that's what Jupiter wants through you, to do that and expand in consciousness in whichever way it can. And so, it could be, taboos. It could be understanding secret knowledge that's been hidden away. There's so many aspects to it. Just use your imagination. Jupiter is imagination at the end of the day. So if you can't envision something in your mind's eye and then bring that into the physical world, then you probably don't have a lot of what we call aphantasia, which is probably another story. I think I've mentioned that in other videos. There's phantasia and aphantasia. But yeah, anyway, I will leave it here. I hope that all of this has made sense. So please let me know where your Jupiter is sitting in your chart. I'd love to know. Where is it, what aspect is it sitting in? And are you connected to learning and teaching and high levels of thinking? Do you follow astrology? What's your go? What's your what's your thoughts on this video? Let me know. I'd love to know. And so what else before I get out of here? Yes, my third edition is nearly here. We're expecting the stock to arrive at the end of the month or even a little bit sooner. So the third edition of the Goliath Tarot deck is coming. It's nearly here. I've been tracking it. And as soon as it comes in, I can start shipping my stock out. So if you'd like to go and place an order for the third edition, it would mean a lot to me. It is a self-published indie deck and it's available for pre-order right now on my website. So lots and lots of love. I hope you've enjoyed this chat. I'm going to get out of here. Probably a bit of my Jupiter actually, just over talking. But yeah. All right. Bye.